to another episode of The Mind of Reese. Hello, everyone. If you don't already notice, if you are watching this on Spotify or on YouTube, I have a different background. Yay! And I'm so excited. In my last episode, I was on the couch in my second bedroom, and we're just now getting that together. And now in this particular one, I am in my tattoo studio office. Yes, because I've built myself an office, and it is so cool, and I feel so fancy schmancy, and this is where we get to go in this business. If you've been with me for a long time, you've been with me since I was shooting podcast episodes in my it was like work live loft, where I had my house upstairs, and I had a tattoo studio downstairs, private tattoo studio downstairs. And it was just like this really beautiful thing. And then I moved to Solana Beach, which was my public studio, 800 square feet, 4 different artists. Let those artists go, let them fly, help them open up, help them fly. And then they go and open up their own tattoo shops, and which is so amazing. And I'm so proud of them. To opening up a 3,000 square foot space all by myself and calling in new artists all the time, calling in those resident artists and new artists, just whoever's out there feeling the call, of course, we're here for it. And yeah, now the place, we've been here since August, and now the space looks freaking amazing. We have this beautiful designed room, we have the stretch lounge, and we have a room for 8 to 10 artists that can come and work here. So it's just been an incredible ride. My business has taken off in so many different ways, and it really comes to the whole mentality between the starving artist mentality and the spiritual entrepreneur mentality. For many, many years, I definitely had the starving artist mentality. I remember distinctly when I was a aspiring tattoo artist. I was searching for an apprenticeship. I could not get one. It was really, really tough because I was getting told all the time, you're a female, you're too pretty to be in our shop. You'll make our wives upset. Girls can't draw. This was way back in the day. And I was also going to street shops because I didn't know any better. I didn't know how, I didn't utilize Instagram at the time. It was 15 years ago when Instagram had barely just started and social media was not really on the forefront of my mind. And so we, did it the old fashioned way. You went to shop. So that's what I did. And when I couldn't find an apprenticeship, I figured I would just continue with fine art school, get my BFA, and then move on to my MFA, which is my master's in fine art, and be a poor, starving artist. That was the terminology I said, because I was everybody states, even statistically online on Google, it's there's only 30% of people who actually finish fine art school. And then from there, only maybe 5% of those people actually can pay their bills with their art. And of course, as the digital age gets into this place, obviously that's a lot more now these days. But at the time, that was the statistic. And so I had the starving artist mentality. It was when I finally got the tattoo apprenticeship, it was all short-term goals. It was, I am employed to my business. You work fucking hard, blood, sweat, and tears. You're living to the next dollar. You're looking for, whatever it might be. And that's the way I lived, because that's the way I was taught. And it never occurred to me that there could be any other way. It never occurred to me that it could be any other way. I was okay, how do I climb this ladder? Oh, more followers meant more dollars. Okay, so how do I get more following, And then I grew very, very quickly. I grew very quickly in the industry. It was 2 years in, I was on television shows. I was traveling all over the world, being invited to all these crazy conventions, speaking at conventions, even being a judge for the tattooer, which honestly, I had no business judging anybody's tattoos. My tattoos weren't that great. And also, I was such a baby in the industry, but it was just because I was on TV that really got me all of these things. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't so amazing. It was so amazing. But yet I did lose myself in all of this. And so it was in that moment when I had hit rock bottom in 2016, it was I was able to find this new way of doing things, because I didn't like the old way. The starving artist, more followers, how can I get people to, chasing energy, 2x linear growth, just basically let me raise my prices by $10 every, year or something like that. It's this very lone wolf mentality, blood, sweat, and tears mindset. That's the starving artist mentality. And I didn't know any other way. Nobody teaches you any other way because nobody teaches you how to run a motherfucking business. But I've always had big dreams. And so I thought what I needed to do was, okay, get a big following, get a lot of people to follow me for whatever reason, for my tattoos, for my body, whatever it was at the time that I was doing things. I've been on social media for 15 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, been a tattoo artist for 12 and a half, almost 13. And so it's just like, okay. So when I really started to realize, actually, the catalyst that happened was like, gosh, this was just a few years ago, maybe like 2017, 2018, where one of my really good friends who does my acupuncture, she's like, why does like being an entrepreneur feel so hard for you? I was telling her something. I was like having this idea. I was just like, man, like I don't know what feels, something just feels off. Like I feel like this shouldn't be the way I'd be doing things. Like I shouldn't be doing it this way. Like it feels like it's really, really hard, and it feels like it's eating up all of my time. And so I started reading a lot of books on entrepreneurs. I started reading on like, how do people, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. How are these people doing these crazy things? And I thought, oh, well, I had to hire all these people. There's just no way. I don't have the capital for that. And when I started to read more and started to study more and started to get knowledge instead of just assume, which is what most starving artist mentality does. We just assume that it's hard. We just assume that we can't do it. We just assume, we don't go in there and actually do anything about it. And so for me, it was like, I'm going to stop fucking assuming and I'm going to start getting clear on me. So absolutely the very first and foremost thing was focus on me. Spiritual mental health is going to lead me to my success and wealth, period. Spiritual mental health is going to lead me to my success and wealth, motherfucking period. That's it. Okay. And so I believe that with my whole heart and soul. That is what I believe in. You cannot talk me out of it. You can wrestle me. Let's wrestle. Like it's never going to be out of my mind. This is what I believe in. And this is what I will teach until the day that I leave this earth. And so when I started focusing on me, when I started making me a priority, when I started making my mental health and my spirituality a priority, this meant that I was actually thinking of my future self. Why? Because every day that I do a daily thing, the meditations, the getting close to myself, to understanding why I'm feeling this anxiety, to understanding why I'm feeling wounded in this trauma, to understanding all these things about me, why I do the things that I do, as I got closer to that, I started to realize some of those things that no longer served me. So I started to heal those things. And once I did, it started to open my mind up to the possibilities of new things. And so as I opened my mind, I started to leave the starving artist mentality, not even realizing it, and started to move into the spiritual entrepreneur mentality. I call it spiritual because I do believe in something out there that's way beyond me. I do. I believe in my inner wisdom. God, I believe in the universe. I believe in the cosmos. Like I believe that there are things out there guiding me. These feelings in my body are not just happening. You know what I mean? Like you talk about finance and doing finance, that shit don't light me up, but that shit lights other people up. Why? I don't fucking know. I truly believe it's because my soul knows better. Like, there's other people over here that really, love daycare, like doing daycare with kids. Don't even look at me. Like I love children, but only for a short period of time. That's just me. Why? I don't know. I don't feel that bone in my body to become like a mother. Like that doesn't like yet light me up. Like I do in a way, but it never was like the thing that came when I came out of high school where I was like, I'm going to have the white picket fence and I'm going to have this and that and this and that. And although yes, that there is some societal conditioning, but we won't even get into that. It's more just like, we have these desires in our bodies for a reason. If you desire it, it's meant to be yours, period. That's what I believe. And so I believe in that feeling, in that intuitive wisdom. And as I clear the connection to my spirituality, that means that I get to let that spirituality guide me as an entrepreneur. And because I think like an entrepreneur, which is big time thinking, which is thinking long term, the CEO of my business, building pathways to be paid, more impact, asking myself the question, how can I serve versus how can I get them to? Attracting energy, this magnetic energy, 10x qualitative quantum growth, right? It's not quantitative, where starving artist mentality is like, how can I just get more of the same thing? Oh, I got to work harder and longer in order to do that. And I was like, this can't be right. I'm literally hitting a ceiling and being capped at where I'm creating not only wealth and money in my bank account, but impact with people. I'm trading time for money. And that's, as a tattoo artist, that's what we do. So I was like, okay, well, what else do we do? The next logical thing, open a shop, sell some art. Maybe that could work if I can do some art. But that also is still trading time for money. The shop idea, it's not, but it's still managing people. And if that's not your that's not your vibe, that might not be the entrepreneurial route you go. So how else do you scale? You find other ways to create experiences. And the only way you can get people to pay for an experience rather than just a tattoo, you've got to create a community. And if you're creating a community, that means that you are the epitome, you are the representation of what that community stands for. So if I stand for something, that means that I've got to think bigger. I've got to think impact. If I'm just doing next tattoo, flash tattoo, people aren't bandwagoning on a movement. They're bandwagoning on just like, cool, next tattoo. It's like, I don't want to be a Friday the 13th artist. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with the people that love that. Like that's awesome. And if I decide to do a flash day, like, cool, that's just what I do because I want to, not because I feel like I have to. But at the same time, like I'm looking at this from a big picture perspective. Oh, well, next month I got to do a Friday the 13th tattoo because if I don't, then I won't make this X money and then maybe I can get more clients and da-da-da-da-da-da. That is just a tactic. That is not a strategy. There is a difference between tactics and strategies. Tactics are small little things that you do in the now to help you facilitate the pathways to the long-term strategy. But again, you can't think long-term strategy without considering yourself outside of the starving artist mentality. You have to pull yourself out of that. And the only way you can do that, the only way you can pull yourself out of the victim mentality, out of the victimhood, is to heal. Is to go in there and to really get to know yourself. And you know what? People are like, well, I know myself well enough, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, do you? Because I've been doing this work really heavily. Like I pretty much meditate almost 24/7. I am meditating in my tattooing. The 6 to 8 hours a day that I tattoo, the 2 days a week, I'm meditating twice a day. I meditate before I go to bed. I meditate when I wake up in the morning. I meditate with my eyes open. Like I have really created this. It's crazy. You think you know, and then you don't know because you learn a little more and you find out you're like, wow, I really didn't know. And then you learn a little more and you become more aware and you're like, wow. And it starts to like my brain almost feels like it's breaking because of the duality of man and woman and humankind, where it's like, there really is no good or bad. There really is no right or wrong. It just is. And it's like hard to fathom that concept, to conceptualize that in your brain, especially when you're in your human. But the more that I become aware, the more that I'm understanding my spiritual being, like the more I'm letting her take the reins and run my business. And really, I'm just here as the human in a vessel, just here to feel all the things because that's what my soul chose. Like if I wasn't meant to feel the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of business and of life, then my soul wouldn't have chose to come onto this earth. It would have chosen a different galaxy, a different sentient being. It would have chosen something else to come back as, or to not even come back as, to just stay as a soul or whatever. Like that's what I believe. And so it's like when I'm here in this moment and realizing how much I don't know about myself. And the more you can realize that, the more you're actually more wise than you think. But when you're like, oh, I know myself, then you're playing yourself. You're really lying to yourself because you actually don't know. And the reason why it's so scary to know, it's because when we start to unearth those desires that we have, it's actually scary to go after them because that means leaving the comfort zone. And when we leave the comfort zone, there's always the unknown in that space. And when there's unknown, there's fear. But without fear, there is no confidence because it's just like, yeah, you're just like, it's like doing tattoos. If you've done tattoos as long as I have, I'm very confident in my tattooing. Sometimes my mind just kind of drifts. And so when my mind drifts and I start to notice where my mind's drifting, my mind normally drifts to like, what do I got to do? Da, 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 da. And it'll even start to judge myself. Oh, you posted that thing yesterday. Was that too much? Oh my gosh. Da, da, da. You're like, I still have my human. It happens. So when that happens, I actually get really, really present. I literally breathe. I follow my breath as I'm tattooing. And the funniest thing, I was telling my spiritual counselor the other day, I was like, you know, ever since I've been paying so much attention to the thoughts that are going through my head, like the subconscious thoughts that are happening, even when I'm tattooing, because it's just mindless, you know, and when my client's not talking, it's just mindless. It's just happening, going on and on and on and on. And I don't even realize that a lot of it's negative. I'm like, wow, this is really negative thinking. It's really negative subconscious thinking. And I'm, of course, no wonder, like, I'm so afraid to do X, Y, and Z. No wonder I feel like I'm judged by everything that I do. No wonder all of these things that I'm starting to see, I'm like, wow, that's really negative thinking. I didn't even know that I even thought that. Like, there's a 60% of me that's like, nah, I'm a bad bitch. You know what I mean? And then there's like 40% of me that's like, wait, you're not a bad bitch. Like, it's really interesting to see that dichotomy when you catch it. But most of the time you can't catch it unless you're so aware. And so I've been becoming more aware because I've been really focusing on it. Because this is something I love fucking doing. Like, you guys, like, I love self-mastery. Like, I fucking love owning who I am. Like, I love it. Like, that is something I know that I'm always going to get better at. Like, there's no ceiling to getting to know me on that level, to getting to know human, like a human, being human on that level, to really giving myself the permission to be, do, have all of the fucking things, and, you know, and to feel everything. Like, that is the hugest permission slip I can give. And oftentimes I find myself not giving myself that permission. I say, oh, permission to everything. And then there'll be one moment where I don't give myself permission. I'm like, ooh, there that is. Wow, that's interesting. Let's look into that a little bit more. Like, anytime I feel something uncomfortable, I like to dive deeper. I'm that masochist that's like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. Let's feel into that more. Why? Like, ooh, let's heal that. Like, I'm that person. So this work to me is like fucking fun. Yes, it's exhausting. Don't get me wrong. I have my days where I'm just like, I'm going to have a bad day. But then again, there's my permission. So it's like constant permission giving. And by doing so, I get so much more aware. And with that awareness, I get to know me better. And then by focusing so much on that awareness, I get better at every fucking thing I do. My tattoos, I can't even tell you, in the last like 3 weeks of like doing this work, and I've only been doing this breath work during my tattooing just recently, because I started to notice these impatient thoughts coming in my head, these judgmental thoughts coming through. It's because I'm doing a lot of new different things. Like, I went down into tattooing a month. That's really scary to my nervous system. My nervous system is like, holy shit, our safety is going away. We don't know how much money we're making, you know, because like I leaned on my tattooing as safety, but now that I'm moving into coaching and really coaching the spiritual entrepreneur, the spiritual creative, like, I am really moving in that direction. Of course, since it's new, it's not something I'm used to, it's not safe. So my body feels a lot of ways, and it's trying to keep me safe. So what does it do? It creates story, it creates anxiety, it creates nerves, it creates fear in my body so that I will stop doing what I'm doing. And so when I notice those things, instead of running away from it and reacting to it, I look at it, I shine the light. I'm like, yes, hello, what's up? What do you need from me? Let's have a conversation before you try and like run away like a scared little rabbit. Like, let's do this. And so I've been noticing these things while I'm tattooing. And since I'm so focused on being present and being in my breath work as I'm tattooing, all of a sudden, my tattoo is getting motherfucking better. I'm like, whoa, look at that thing. That thing's way better than what I thought it was going to turn out, because of that level of presence. I don't know about you, but a retreat sounds so fucking juicy good. All-inclusive, feminine leadership tattoo retreat in June here in sunny San Diego. All-inclusive means that you will have a private chef in a mansion that beds 22 people with a pool and all the things. We'll also have a private yoga instructor. We'll also have a photographer, my photographer, who is amazing, and she'll take photos of everybody.
so you can create content. So I want you to show up in all of your authentic goddess self, so you can be, in your content, showing up as your authentic self, so that you can call in the people that you desire. And then we'll also be masterminding and going over business strategies for each and every one of you individually and also in group, so that we can really plan the most successful, epic wealth year that you desire. So if you're in, you're in. Go in the show notes, get in. There's only 10 slots. We already have 2 people in, so there's only 8 slots. So don't miss it. Love you.
There is so much magnetic energy, potent magnetic energy in your presence. Your presence is what drives people to want to be in your space. So when you are present, you don't even really understand how much you can quantum leap in presence. And because my level of standard is to be so focused in that present moment and not to allow my mind to go cray-cray around thoughts that do not serve me, I all of a sudden quantum leap in what I'm doing. So whether that is when I am reading my books, when I am taking in new information, I'm noticing even with my level of focus through meditation, how much more knowledge I retain. When I watch a program, or when I'm listening to my mentors, or when I'm, with my spiritual counselor, the things they tell me stay in my mind, like they stay in my body. I used to say to myself that I didn't have a good memory. And I was backed by that because people used to tell me, "Oh, Reese, you don't have a good memory." And so I believed them. And then 2 years ago, I was like, I don't want to fucking believe that anymore. That's a story I don't want to believe. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care if it's true. I'm not going to believe it. And all of a sudden, I start to notice how much more information I retain because of the work that I put myself through. Like, I literally care so much about me. I love me. I love me. I love all my psyches. I love my inner child, my inner teenager, my wild thing, my highest self. I love my ego. I love it all. I love every part of me that feels all the things. And that's like the hardest thing to say. I can't even believe I'm saying it now. Like, it's like, it gets me really kind of like emotional, because it's like, I could never have imagined, having this, holy moly. I could never have imagined this barely 8 years ago when I hit rock bottom and I did not like myself for the first, 29 years of my life. I did not like her. I didn't like who she was. I didn't like anything about her. And that's why I did what I did. That's why I would take photos that weren't mine and claim them as my own. I would take tattoos that weren't mine and claim them as my own and post them as my own, because I was like, I'm never good enough. I'm not good enough. And then I had so much shame after that. When it came out, I had so much shame, and that shame ate me up until, honestly, probably until a few years ago, where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to own it. And even in the owning it, still, I had so much shame. It is crazy to think that today in my body, I do not have shame in that. I do not have shame, because it's actually brought me to such a beautiful place now. And that everything that happens is for you and through you, not to you. And so this work to leave the starving artist mentality and to move into spiritual entrepreneurship, that means you focus on you, and then you think big. And then all of a sudden it's like, just because, and I can coincide it at the same time. Like, I don't have to do the spiritual work first and heal myself first and then do the business. Like, I've been doing this ever since, like, when all that shit happened, I opened up my own private studio, and then all of a sudden I opened up a public studio, healing myself every single year, every single day. And then when I let all the artists go, that wasn't aligned for me anymore. It didn't mean I didn't love them. I was just like, I just think that I need to shed, and I just need to shed, and we need to do this. And so that's what I did, and it was scary. That was a lot of money a month, a year, that I was letting go of because of a feeling. And I trusted that feeling because I trust me. And in order to truly be an entrepreneur, you have to trust yourself to take big leaps, to do big things. You're going to stay in the starving artist mentality if you do not make yourself first, if you do not put your spiritual health, mental health, wealth, and vitality first. you won't see the success that you desire, because I've had all the success before. I was just having a conversation with one of my new one-on-ones, which I'm so excited, Charity, love you, where we're like, she's like, oh my goodness, we've had it, like where we have it all. And then all of a sudden it just feels like a rock bottom. It feels like, oh my gosh, like for me, it was like, I had the success. I had everything up and ready and going, and the TV and the fame and the following and the clients and the people, and it just, and I was tattooing and I was making good money. It was like I had it all, and I was so fucking unfulfilled. I was empty. And that needed to happen for me. And most people would be like, well, I'd rather have that than have no money. And sure. But then there's going to be a day when you have it, and then all of a sudden you feel unfulfilled, and then you keep trying and you keep trying, and you still have that starving artist mentality because it's more and more and more and more, and you need more and you need more and you need more, right? And you become an employee to your business. You're not running your business is running you. That's why you're so tired. That's why you get burned out. That's why you feel overwhelmed. That's why you have like all this fear in your body around even being honest with yourself and with others. So when you step into this new mentality, when you step into the version of you that's like, I'm me here, me first, then everything fucking else second. Me first, then everything else second. I heal these wounds first. And I follow, I know, because you have that inkling within you. You have that calling within your body that is driving you in a direction, but it's so fucking scary to take that leap, right? It's so fucking scary to move towards that, right? To some, you don't move at all. To others, you're like, I'm moving, but I'm backtracking, and I'm moving, and I'm backtracking. And you know what? We get to do that. That's human. We get to wobble. Be okay with the wobble. Are you fucking kidding me? I wobble every fucking day. I wobble every day. I work so hard, and I wobble every day. I'm like, well, fuck, am I doing this right? Fuck, is that going to get taken out of context? Fuck, was that too bold? Oh my goodness. I just said that online. Oh my gosh. I just got jealous. Like I just compared myself. I do it. I wobble every day. But who am I being in that wobble? I remember, because I'm so connected to myself. I'm so connected to my spirituality, to getting to know me first, to making myself a priority. Thank you, babe. Kissing my puppy. He's like, Mom, don't cry. You're so passionate. Every time I get really passionate, he always comes and loves me. He's a sweetie. I love you. Your nose is cold. Okay, honey, we're almost done. So what I really want you to do right now is to list out, like, are we in the starving artist mentality? Can we just get clear with that, number one? And if we are, what is it that we need to do? Okay, where are you not putting yourself as a priority? That's first and foremost. Where are you trading all of your time, energy, money, and attention to not focus on this? Because oftentimes we get into overworking so that we don't have to do this work, because we don't want to. Because we're just like, I don't really want to get to know myself, because that shit's scary. So I'm going to overwork. I'm going to continue to work. I'm going to blood, sweat, and tears it. I'm not going to do any of these things. Like, that's starving artist mentality. You don't need to be in starving artist mentality anymore. And you also, honestly, don't need to lone wolf it. I loved being a lone wolf. I loved saying that I was such a lone wolf in all of this. And then all of a sudden I realized how lonely that was. And how really, like, it's because we say we want to be in the lone wolf, it's because we don't want connection, because we want to continue to feed that story that we're alone in this. We're like, I don't actually want real connection because I don't know myself well enough to know what real connection is, and I don't want to know. Nobody's like me. I like being here, and that's okay. If that's like a vibe, like full send, that's okay. But I will tell you right now, totally been there. Absolutely. I had no problem burning bridges. I had no problem doing any of that stuff. I was a crazy lady. And then all of a sudden I'm like, after I started really having beautiful relationship with myself and really trying to get to know me and having a lot of days where I cry a lot. I cry more now than ever. And when that happened, all these beautiful relationships that started to come into my life, it made me realize how much I did not want to fuck it up. And I knew that the only way I could fuck it up is by not putting myself first, is by not focusing on me first, because I know that I am a mirror reflection to everybody around me, to every client I have, to every relationship, intimate or otherwise, to every friendship. All of it is a mirror to me. So the fact is that today, as I sit here, the amount of people in my spaces, the fact that we have, 65 people plus, 65 plus more, I'm sure we're going to get more of this because this is Thursday right before booked out. Like, it's like so many people that are aligned with me that are coming into that space. And I'm like, I'm going to give it my motherfucking all, to the people that are in my shop, to the guest artists that come here, to my boyfriend, to my mentors, to my spiritual counselors, to the people in the ARC. I love you guys. And to Scale, I love you guys too. And it's just like, there's no way I could have had these relationships if it wasn't for me focusing on me first. And these relationships, like I like live and breathe for these types of relationships. Like, I can't tell you how much I've quantum leaped within these relationships. So relationship is actually everything. You want to grow a business, you can't grow one without community, and you can't grow one without good relationship, without in-depth relationship. It's not scalable. Your business is not scalable thinking in the starving artist mentality. It will go linear. It may grow a little bit year by year by year. I remember I made my first 100K after 6 years of tattooing. And that's for most people. That goes down for most people. Most people don't even get to that point. And some people are like, we're at that point making like 10, 20K months, and now they're not anymore. And they wonder why, because they're like, well, social media just sucks now. And I'm like, actually, it's because you didn't build a community in the beginning. That's what we're building. We're building movements. People want to stand behind something. What do you stand behind? That's the first question. What do you stand behind? But starving artist mentality, that nobody cares about that. We're doing flash sales over here. We're doing pick off the wall tattoos. And that's totally okay. Like, I see no fucking problem with that. It's just not for me. And personally, I think if it's like, if that is for you and it's like that feels really good to you, then we need people like you too. This is not to shame anybody's standpoint. It's like saying you're an accountant, I'd never want to be an accountant. It's like, that's pretty much it. It's like, cool, yeah, that's why there's that many accountants out here. That's why not everybody's an accountant. That's why not everybody's a tattoo artist. That's why not everybody's a realistic tattoo artist. You know what I mean? It's like, you get to choose. But I just hope that it is in alignment with you and not just something that you're doing because you think you have to. There's a difference. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a really beautiful day. And I hope that you guys are in booked out, because I swear to God, it's going to be so motherfucking good. Love you.